Will this bounce on my head? See, this is what they should make you do when you leave the distilleries as your sobriety test, like this, and recite Walter Scott. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I realized it had been a while since my Scotland trip and I never showed what I bought, what we got up to, so I figured I would put this together, put in some pictures to walk you through kind of what we did with the trip, what I ended up buying, what I brought with me. Let's get into it. Our first 2 days in Edinburgh were very chill. We did a lot of walking, a lot of eating. One thing I would say, a mistake we made, we booked our castle tour for the day we landed. I do not know why we did this. We did not anticipate how exhausted we would be. It would be one thing if we at least booked it in the morning, but we booked it for the afternoon. So we landed Saturday morning, just had maybe like 2 hours of sleep on the plane. So we were exhausted. We dropped things off in the hotel. It was really easy to get into the city from the airport if you've never done it. Very, very simple. But we were walking around from 9 a.m., 10 a.m. or something into the afternoon. We could not wait to make it up to the castle. Come like 2 o'clock, we had to get back to the hotel. We just like needed to rest. Our room wasn't ready, but we sat in the bar area by the fire. It was super, super cozy. Fortunately, I was able to use a link to change our castle tour dates to the Friday after we got back from the whiskey tour. So that was pretty chill. And then Sunday, we wanted to go over to Dean Village. There's a farmer's market over that way, kind of like halfway between where our hotel was and Dean Village. We got to explore over there. I had my very first Sunday roast. As an American, I have to tell you, this was very, very special. I've been waiting to have a Sunday roast for a while. We went to the Scranton's Galley and it was very good. Yeah, first time experiencing that. Delicious. Over that way, it's well known for having a lot of thrift stores, which I was of course very excited by. I don't want to bring home like a lot of tchotchkes and magnets and things like that. I love to bring home art or clothing, a piece of jewelry. Jewelry is always light, so that's really nice, but it tends to be a little bit more expensive. So I wanted to find a piece of clothing, of course something that I could wear for a long time and remember the trip. The thrift stores, I have to say they did not live up to the hype. We went into so many, so that was true. It was a long row of charity shops, like one after another. It was great, but I have to say it was a lot of Zara. It was just like racks and racks of secondhand Zara, which is fine, but like, I don't know, that's not what I wanted to get when I was in Scotland. So didn't get anything good that day. It's fine, there was still plenty of time. And then on Monday, we left for the whiskey tour. So we used Rabbie's tours. It was an amazing experience. I did not want it to end. And I am someone who, like, I spend all day at home. I love my creature comforts. I do love being at home. Usually when we travel around day 3 or 4, I really start missing my cats. I just start missing my routine and I'm kind of itching to get back home, and I did not feel that way once on this trip. Also, Rabbie's, they're pretty small, intimate tours, so they at most only do 16 people and they don't cancel your tour like if they don't reach a certain threshold. We only had 7 of us on the trip, and that includes me and Ben, and the tour guide made 8. He was amazing. Pete was fantastic, an incredible storyteller, very thoughtful, considered everything. He was constantly adding little things and making the trip a lot more enjoyable. So that was very cool. We hit up so many different distilleries, and of course Rabbie's has a bunch of different tours. Like they even have some for Outlander. You can go out to Isle of Skye. There's so many different destinations. We love whiskey. It was something that we had been wanting to do for a while. Ben had really wanted to go out to Islay. I even got an Ardbeg bottle. This is one of my favorites. I don't know really how much to talk about the whiskey tour because it's so different from what we usually talk about on this channel, but I love it. It is an amazing experience, and just even the island is really beautiful. The ferry out was quite nice. We went to Lefroy, Glagavulin, Bruichladdich, Bunnahabhain, Ardbeg. I'll try to have them listed in the description box if I can't remember any, but really good experience. Rabbie's thought of absolutely everything. The itineraries were well planned, And I'm kind of an introvert, like I need my quiet time in the end of the evening. So even though you have this great chance to meet lots of people, there are lots of instances where you can socialize, you also have your quiet time in the evening. So I think it was a really good balance. Whoever plans these does a really good job. Rabbie's tour was for 4 days, and we stopped at a number of destinations on our way to the ferry out to Islay and on our way back. So we got to see Oban and then a few other places on the way back. Like I said, I don't really know how much to talk about the whiskey tour because it's so different from anything we normally talk about on this channel. But please let me know if you have any questions about booking with Rabbie's. It was a great experience. They took care of our accommodations, very affordable. They gave you the option to book yourself. We figured it was just easier to let them do it for us. So they collect your preferences, they tell you roughly how much it's going to cost, and I think it was under $150 per night. We were staying in these converted cottages right on Bowmore Distillery, very cool, looking right into the distillery. And of course then we tipped our guide. I think just a really good value for the experience. So I don't think I bought anything on this trip until 3 or 4 days into the trip. Something that's very cool is each of the distilleries has its own tartan, and it comes from a mill on Islay. So I ended up getting, I said Ardbeg was my favorite, but I ended up getting a cashmere scarf from the Ardbeg distillery. Ben got one from Bowmore. It's like a dark blue with a little bit of red going through it. I love scarves because they hold up forever, right? Assuming you don't even have to work that hard to take good care of them. They're so easy to incorporate into an outfit. It was easy for me to imagine my winter wardrobe. The colors I gravitate towards, I love green anyway. And I mean, it was Ardbeg. I wanted something from that distillery that could last me a lifetime. And I know I wear scarves, and I know this would go with my wardrobe, so I ended up getting that. When we returned to Edinburgh, I ended up getting another green scarf. Like I said, I hadn't bought very much at this time, so this would have been Friday. It's a big green scarf. You can easily wrap it around your shoulders. It's so cozy. But if you're familiar with my channel, it probably won't surprise you what I love about this, but this is also 100% cashmere, made in Scotland. It is the exact same color as my Loewe elephant, so getting to pair all these things together in winter, very cozy but very bright. Yeah, I don't think it's a surprise why I got this. Oh, and on the other side, it is a dark forest green. I can't remember if I've said this already, but I pack really light. I never ever check a bag when I'm abroad. So I just had my 32-liter Cotopaxi backpack and then a Longchamp tote. Ben ended up bringing the exact same luggage. So he saw my Cotopaxi backpack and was like, that's really cool. And he ended up ordering one for himself. And then he ended up borrowing one of my Longchamp totes because I was showing him, I'm like, look, it's amazing. It just folds up into this little square. So he didn't even need that. Gosh, he wins. He packed way lighter than even me. So he had the Longchamp tote folded up into his backpack, but he needed it on the way home because we did get the whiskey bottle, so he had to check it. I was so nervous with him checking these bottles in a backpack, but they were totally fine. I mean, he had them wrapped up really securely with every sweater we brought, our scarves, and of course I'm thinking, like, please don't let these break and ruin all of our wool sweaters and scarves and all that stuff. But it was totally fine. So the backpacks are amazing, and even though I only had that backpack and the tote, I still managed to overpack somehow. Like, I had 3 pairs of shoes with me. That was big chunky hiking boots, black leather heeled boots, all of that fit in easily, and I had sneakers. If I were to do this again, I probably wouldn't bring the sneakers. I had 2 raincoats with me. Do not ask me why. I wanted the variety. So if you're looking for a raincoat, I would definitely recommend the Lululemon Rebel rain jacket if you want something that's still kind of like feminine and attractive, but really high quality. It's Scotland. We were caught in multiple torrential downpours and I stayed completely dry, and I like the length on it because it completely covers your butt. It goes, I would say, like most of the way down your thigh. So you're totally covered. You can sit on things without worrying about it. Really good rain jacket. But For some reason, me being me, I wanted to bring a yellow raincoat as well. I would not do this in the future. I didn't need it. But just to give you an idea, a lot can fit into that Cotopaxi backpack. The final thing that I bought, and fortunately Ben did take some of the things out of my backpack because he had to wrap up the whiskey bottles so tight. I ended up getting, this will not be everybody's taste and that is so fine, but I ended up getting a cape. This is a Harris tweed cape. I think it is beautiful. It is black with blue in it. I am partial to capes. I think they are an underappreciated garment. I tried on a Louis Vuitton one a couple months ago and it was beautiful and really sophisticated, but it was just plain black. It was cashmere. It felt amazing, but it was just plain black. It was a little bit boring. And I've been enforcing a rule for myself about not buying black outerwear because it gets covered in cat fur. I have 2 cats. They're my babies. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but all of my clothes get covered in cat fur. So I've been moving away from plain black clothing. As beautiful as that Louis Vuitton was, like I wasn't remotely tempted because it was thousands of dollars and I don't know, I just thought it was a little bit boring. I love the colors in this tweed cape, and capes are so good. Okay, so if you think about, like, where does a coat normally wear, right? It's like under the armpits and along the cuffs. You don't have that problem with cape because there's no armpits. It's amazing. And you can fit any size sweater underneath it, like a really chunky sweater. You know when you have a thicker sweater and you're like trying to shove it through the arms of your coat? It doesn't work if you don't have that problem here. It looks amazing with skirts and dresses. Like, I'd say the main thing is you lose a little bit of functionality, and of course it's not going to be great in a blizzard, but I have a parka for that. But I'm very into capes. Another great thing is, like, I'm like most people, I fluctuate sizes, right? And the cape is always going to fit me. I have a green one that is probably 80 years old. It's at least 50 years old, just based on the maker. I found it in a vintage shop. Where was this? This was in North Carolina. Beautiful deep green cape, incredible condition, because they just don't wear as heavily as other coats since you don't have the more fitted structure, you don't have the arms, but it can fit me through a variety of sizes. Like, it's gonna last me for 50 years and whatever shape I am in those 50 years. I love capes. Seriously, an underappreciated garment. I think that was everything I wanted to say about my trip specifically. I know a lot of people, based on the analytics, okay, all the feedback that YouTube gives me, I happen to know that most people don't watch to this point. Most people don't make it 70% of the way through the video, and that's totally cool. No hard feelings. However, it gives me a chance to talk to people kind of more frankly, and I like to put that stuff at the end, you know? I would be lying if I said on this trip I didn't reconsider my spending habits, because I absolutely did. This isn't gonna turn into a whole like, what's a bag versus a travel experience kind of thing, because I weigh these things differently at different points in my life. Last couple years, it's been more about buying stuff, and that's really cool. I mean, we couldn't travel anyway. But when I was in Scotland, I didn't really care what I was wearing. I didn't care what bag I had. I just wanted to be comfortable and functional. I wanted to look good, of course. I mean, but it's all subjective anyway. I felt very content. I think that's the best way to summarize it. When I was in Scotland, I just felt so peaceful. I felt really good about what I had, the place I was at in my life, and I want to put more money into experiences like that. I am so not saying like, oh, this is the end of my luxury spending, no more, all experiences, only travel. I'm not committing to anything like that, but people might have noticed, maybe not, I don't really know, but I haven't been buying as many luxury goods in the last 4 or 5 months. I really haven't been motivated to spend very much money after the trip, partly because I'm not a millionaire, right? I can't just spend a ton of money, because we did go to Scotland. I had that trip to Alaska. That's where I was focusing more of my fun money. But even with the option to buy things, I just haven't felt as motivated to. Am I rambling? Is any of this making any sense? I hope it's clear, because the reason I wasn't even sure if I was going to mention this is because like I'm still working out my own feelings on how much I want to buy going forward, what this trip meant to me. Did it make me think about my priorities? How much I want to spend? Do I want to spend less? Because in reality, the whole trip, the cost of it was about equal to a luxury bag, especially because the prices are getting so crazy high. So does that all make sense? I don't know, but thank you for sticking around to this point. Please let me know, have you ever been on a trip that changed your perspective in any way? I would love to hear it, because this was such a beautiful experience for my husband and I. It was a real bonding experience. We haven't done something like this for just the two of us, and we've now been together for 5+ years. I've known him for 12 but we haven't been able to do something like this for us in a long time, or ever. I mean, it was really incredible. I would love to hear about some of your life-changing trips. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. If your partner likes whiskey and you're on the fence, I would still highly recommend going on a tour like this. It was so much fun. The people there are amazing. I mean, the distillery folks were so friendly and inviting. It's just interesting to learn about. But they really open your eyes, and there is something about, I don't know how any other way to describe this, but it's like positive mob mentality. What is the psychological term for it? Okay, like that's, my mind just goes to that, but mob mentality is generally a bad thing. But it's like sharing this experience with a lot of people who love that thing. It's like you soak up their enjoyment of it. I went in loving whiskey, but I came out loving it like so much more. Greater appreciation for, of course, how it's made, but just like, just soaking up all that love for it. It was fantastic.